learned. I'm not here to be humble. I'm not here to be, okay, yeah, whatever you think is best. Like, I don't care. I've seen people try. I've seen how people get ahead, and I'm not having it. So at Backlash, I'm going to prove that, like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but once that bell rings, you're mine.
Zack Heydorn here with the Takedown on SI, and have a wonderful guest that I'm speaking with today. Super excited to chat with her. She is the first ever and current WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria. Lyra, it is so great to talk to you. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to chat.
Anytime. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing well. Excited for Backlash coming up this weekend. You've got a a huge match. One of the biggest matches of your career against Becky Lynch. You're putting your Intercontinental title on the line. What's your mindset like going into something like that? It's a big week, and it's going to be a big show for you.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just used to that mindset now. Like, oh, I've got my biggest match ever this weekend. Like, I keep having to say that, and the like the stakes get higher, and the pressure gets more intense, and everything. It just keeps happening. But I'm very at home in that pressure now, and that, like, oh, I've got this or I don't. Better go. So yeah, it's really exciting. Backlash is absolutely huge. You've got Randy Orton versus John Cena on the same card, and I'm taking on Becky Lynch, winner of the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania, Grand Slam champion, all that stuff. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
It's crazy. Yeah, when you put it like that, it's man, yeah. How do you how do you keep your head
I
on
know.
straight? It's
I
crazy.
don't know. It's never really on straight. It's just always spinning.
Well, talk a little bit about that. You've been on, the main roster for a chunk of time now. You had a run in NXT that was really strong, NXT Women's Champion, and you kind of like went through your time in NXT pretty quick. What has life been like for you, on the main roster? Like, do you feel like you're clicking, or do you feel like, there's still stuff for me to learn. There's still, places for where I need to kind of go to grow my game. Kind of just talk me through kind of like where you feel you're at as far as main roster talent in WWE.
Um, well, okay, so we're coming up on May 1st, and that was this time last year. The roster's locked, and I got drafted to Raw, so we're coming up on 1 year. And I can't say that like I'm absolutely thrilled with everything I've done. Like, of course, who could imagine in my first year I'd have been Queen of the Rings
Yeah.
finalist, wrestled in Saudi Arabia was my first like PLE with Raw. Um, you know, first Intercontinental Women's Champion. I've had some matches that I'm very, very proud of. Some very proud title defenses as well. Um, God, if I start even listing all the stuff I've done this year, I'm going to actually, leave something out because there's so much. So I'm very, very proud, and it's hard to feel like anything has ever gone wrong in my life because look where I am.
Sure. Right.
So I'm very happy. I feel like I've done everything right. But as far as like going forward, um, just naturally what we do, I'm never going to feel like, yeah, I've got it now. Yeah, I'm great. There's always going to be something that I'm working on, or something I haven't done, and that's just the nature of what this is. Like, the second you feel like you've got it figured out, the board changes and you have to like figure something else. Like, that's what I love about this. You're never going to just have it. There's always something else to do. There's always something to work on. There's always something you have to adapt to. Um, so yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with everything I've done, but of course I'm going to keep working and keep changing and keep adapting. And I always feel like this is a marathon and not a sprint. So
Yeah.
I'm happy. I really enjoy the evolution over time and my journey.
Do you find that it's are the two environments like very different, the from NXT to WWE main
Yes.
roster? Like, are they kind of,
Mhm.
are they as different as it seems, to a viewer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a very different environment. Like, NXT, you're at the same crowd all the time, which it has its pros and cons. And It's a much smaller arena, but even the NXT people are going into the PC every single day. They're in this routine, but it's also they're also there every single day. Whereas we've got a lot more travel, but like it's raw to raw. So I also get a lot more kind of time off to work on things as well.
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like NXT, you're in there constantly. It's the same crowd, the same. It's just very different that way. But I personally love like the travel and the. I feel like it's more trial by fire in with
Yeah.
Raw, which I enjoy.
Interesting, interesting. Well, okay, let's talk about that championship belt that you have on your shoulder right now. The first ever women's WWE Intercontinental Champion, a title that is just synonymous with not only WWE as a company, but some of the biggest stars in the history of the business have held that. Some of the biggest and most memorable matches have been with that championship on the line, and here you are, the first woman to hold that title. What did it mean to you to kind of win that match and win that championship after, as you mentioned, your journey? um Man, what a cool moment on that journey to be, the first ever women's intercontinental champion. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's very, very, very cool. Like you said, the Intercontinental Championship has such a prestigious, like workhorse title identity. So to be trusted and to carry the weight of being the first Intercontinental Women's Champion, it means an awful lot. Um, and I just hope that I can do it justice with every time I step in the ring. I really do try to do that. But if you go back as far as NXT, obviously the golden was the NXT Women's Championship. I wanted to be the first Irish NXT Women's Champion. That was my thing.
Mhm.
And then when Becky came back to NXT, that got taken away. And I did feel like, oh, there's just, that was going to be my first. You've already had so many firsts. Why did you come back now? Um, and I thought at the time it was to help me. Um, but uh, now it kind of it's cool now seeing Becky's real personality get to come through. Um, but yeah, no, she can't take away that this was my first, like, which is massive, and I feel like that was a big focal point of her return. Um, so we'll see what happens now at Backlash, but nothing can take away that I was the first ever
First
and the
ever,
first
yeah.
Irish person to hold this title. She can't take that away.
So Backlash is coming up this weekend, and you're facing Becky Lynch. You guys have history. You guys have
Mhm.
history together. Yeah, you've wrestled in NXT. Obviously, you had that tag team moment together when things were okay at WrestleMania 41. Um, talk about your history with her and like kind of the relationship that you have together, and then how your mindset changes now that kind of experienced the dark side of Becky here in the last couple weeks.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest. Becky liked to be there for me and to be the one that, like, when I just saw my debut was 10 years ago today. That's crazy.
Wow. 10
Um,
years to the day.
10 years to the day, I think.
Wow. Wow.
Um, but yeah, Becky in NXT liked when I was in NXT and when I met her one time in Dublin when she came back filming her WWE 24, she liked being the one to help someone come up. She liked being the idol. And even as far as NXT, she was very helpful, a lot of advice. And then when she came down, she liked being the one to that was in the higher position. And then I came up to the main roster, and that advice and that warmth just did disappear.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started to do a lot of cool things, and she took some time off. Um, I defended this title more than she's been at work this past year. And then we get to WrestleMania, and it's a very bittersweet thing because I have this very natural chemistry and tag team that formed with Bailey. We get on great, And she's another person that I've always looked up to who, in many ways, turned out to be everything I kind of thought Becky would be for me.
Hmm.
Um, but then, she came back and it was great. But that's always going to be there, that it came at the expense to Bailey. But look, Becky's great. She's talked herself into every opportunity she's ever had. Um, no matter no matter who that hurts. Um, that's what she's always been good at. But I don't think she likes now that I'm on the same platform and that, you saw on Monday, I'm not going to be stood on. I made sure I got the last word in there, and it might have been a bit of a fight, but I don't care. I'm not here to be a super fan. I'm not here. I've learned I'm not here to be humble. I'm not here to be okay, yeah, whatever you think is best. Like, I don't care. I've seen people try. I've seen how people get ahead, and I'm not having it. So at Backlash, I'm going to prove that, like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but once that bell rings, you're mine.
I love it. I love that. Do you, even though you and Becky are on the outs and you've are having this match at Backlash coming up on May 10th, it have you learned anything from her though? Throughout your career, like have you been able to like? Are there any parts of her game that in her rise up that you can pull from and say, hey, okay, that helps me.
Yeah, like of course, she's the one that broke all the glass ceilings, like an Irish girl that went and didn't just succeed. She like smashed the ceilings and did it all. So I kind of had an idea of what she'd be like. And it's been quite different, but there's also a learning experience in that. Like, even the people you look up to most, they're not going to always be exactly as you expect them to be.
Yeah.
Um, so that in itself was a learning process. But I also think that works for me because I've always been the best with trial by fire. So having to stand up for myself and really put myself on the map, there's a learning experience in that as well.
Very interesting. Okay, last question for you here. It's about kind of just the women's division in WWE right now.
Mhm.
WrestleMania is in the rearview mirror. The women's division on that show, I thought, just really shined between you guys, the tag team match that you guys had, and Tiffany and Charlotte, and the triple threat with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair. And then the night after WrestleMania, you see Stephanie Vakir on the show, you see Julia on the show, Roxanne Perez is there. It's like, and you are a part of just this really deep women's division. Just
Yeah.
talk about talk about that. Talk about being, a champion in that division, and just, how high you think the ceiling is for this crop of talent that's in there right now, because it's pretty amazing when you look at all the faces there and all that there is as far as talent goes. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's really crazy, especially when you bring up that women's triple threat, Rhea, Bianca, and Io. I was watching that, I was on the same night, and genuinely, I don't mind saying there were like tears, goosebumps, all the in-betweens. That was one of the best women's matches I've seen.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I was watching that and knowing um, the way I used to watch the Four Horsewomen in NXT, and I feel like that era kind of shaped me. I have no doubt that that match is going to shape the next generation. Like there are, I would have no doubt in my mind, there's people that will start wrestling because of that match. I think as a woman who knows what it's like to see, um, something special, and it make you want to do that. I think that's going to be that for someone out there because that was like I was like so blown away by that match. And it's also really motivating. Like some people get down when they see other, superstars and they're like, how can I be that? But I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that just shows me why I'm doing this, what I love about this. I absolutely, absolutely loved that match. And then yeah, you've got like Stephanie Vaquer and Julia coming up now, and that's really exciting. They're doing great stuff in NXT, but also mixing it in with Raw. So you just kind of never know when I'll end up in with one of them. That would be great. I'd love to have a match against either one of them as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. You guys are just loaded up, and you get to, hold that WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship in such a deep division. Well, WWE Backlash, it's May 10th. It's going to be Lyra Valkyria defending that championship right there against Becky Lynch. Lyra, thank you so much for the time. Good luck this weekend. I hope
Thank you.
you can kind of get the retribution you're looking for against Becky. But appreciate the time, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for having me.